Is the mic on? Okay, good. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight and here and at home. We have a great meeting in store for you tonight, as we always do. So I will call our Board of Commissioner regular meeting May 1st, 2025, 7:03 p.m. to order. Ms. Jones, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Roberts,
Present.
Commissioner Hall,
Present.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Present.
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Present.
Mayor Anderson.
Present. Item number 3 is prayer and pledge. Lord, we thank you so much for everyone in this community. And as servants of these fine citizens, we ask that you be with us tonight as we make the decisions for this community. And we hear you in everything that we do and say. Also, just anyone who is sick or, just having hardship right now, we pray that you be with those individuals. And just, I pray a blessing over our community and everyone in it. In Christ's name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 4, Mayor's comments. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Like I said, here and at home watching. If everyone would please speak loudly into the mics so that everyone at home can hear what's being said tonight. And thank you for Officer Miranda for being here and watching over us and keeping us safe tonight. If everyone could just remember to be courteous and polite to each other, and as we speak, then we'll have a great meeting. Thank you. Item number 5, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Aye. Item 6 passes 5-0. Item 5 passes 5-0. Item 6, citizens' comments.
There are none tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Item 7, public announcements, awards, and recognition. Mr. Ross?
Good evening, Mayor, Board. Just a reminder that next Saturday, May the 10th, we have the Arts and Crafts Fair, weather permitting. And then we are still accepting sponsors for the July 3rd event. We're asking for everyone to turn in their sponsorship forms by May the 16th. And just a reminder, next week is National Small Business Week. It starts from May the 4th through the 10th, and it's just to help shop local and support the local businesses. That's all I have tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions from the board for Mr. Ross? Okay. Item number 8, staff comments and monthly reports. A, city manager report, Mr. Daugherty.
Thank you, Mayor, Board. Just wanted to give the budget schedule again. Rachel sent that out earlier, but I wanted to have it on record. On May 13th, we'll have a 5:30 p.m. work session in front of the Planning Commission. We will go over public safety and administration budgets. And then on May 15th, prior to the Board of Commissioners meeting at 5:30, we'll have a work session on the remaining departments. First read for the fiscal year 26 budget is scheduled for May 15th. Second read is scheduled for June 5th. The only other thing I have tonight is I got a letter from a Mr. Charles Miller. It's from 7127 Triple Crown Lane that wanted me to commend a couple of our staff members, and I think the best way to do that is just read the letter. Please bear with me. Dear Mr. Daugherty, I want to commend two of your staff members, Ethan Greer and Devin Halliburton, for personally helping me recently save my yard in the street fronting my house from a rather dramatic flood situation. Back on Thursday, April 10th, I believe, after a night of heavy rain, the two drainage pipes conducting the creek in my side yard under the street became blocked with debris, resulting in the rapid rise of water from the creek. I had only limited success myself in trying to unclog the pipes. Ethan and Devin from the Planning and Codes Department happened to come by and see the dilemma I and my neighbors faced with the rising flood. They both began to help me clear the remaining large tree limbs, tree trunk, and even four wired tires from a neighboring cattle farm from the pipes, with the result that the flood creek immediately began to go down. My yard was saved, but the pipes and sidewalks suffered rather severe erosion. He's talked to the Public Works Department about that, but on down it says, the purpose of this letter, however, is again to offer my gratitude to these two fine gentlemen and public servants for their prompt and courteous service. Please convey my sincere thanks to them both, and I would ask that you also commend them before the City Council at its next meeting. And so, in honoring Mr. Miller's wishes, I have read his letter and do appreciate all of the work our staff does on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan and Devin. We appreciate it. Item number 9, consent agenda. A, minutes from April 14th, 2025 Board of Commissioner work session. And 9B, minutes from April, did I say 14th? I'm sorry. Minutes from, I know, I was like, okay, I said the wrong date. Minutes from April 17th. A is minutes from April 17th, 2025 Board of Commissioner work session. And B is minutes from April 17th, 2025 Board of Commissioner regular meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Jones?
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Aye. Item number 9, A and B, pass 5-0. Item 10, old business. We have no old business tonight. Item 11, new business. 11A, Resolution 2024. Item 11A, Resolution 24-25, a resolution calling for a public hearing on the proposed annexation of territory into the city of Fairview by owner consent with RS40, single-family residential zoning, and approving a plan of services. 7330 Taylor Road, 3.24 plus or minus acres, map 042, parcel 077.06. Mr. Greer.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Sheila Taylor has asked the city of Fairview to be annexed. She lives currently at the address on Taylor Road. And the Planning Commission forwarded this request to the Board of Commissioners with a 7-0 recommendation, a positive recommendation for approval. This parcel is a little over 3 acres. Her intentions that she has spoke about is potentially subdividing off land for her children at a later date. The current zoning in the county, she would only be able to build 1 home per 5 acres. Her existing home is non-conforming to that use, and so she would like to be able to have less than 5 acres to give to her children, since she has less than 5 acres to give to her children. So if you have any questions, there is a representative tonight to answer any questions you might have.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions from the board? Ms. Jones?
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Aye. 11A passes 5-0. Item 11B, ordinance 2025-04, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the City of Fairview, Tennessee by rezoning a 19.96 plus or minus acre parcel located at 7391 Crow Cut Road, consisting of Williamson County Tax Map 046, parcel 016.03, from RS40 Single Family Residential to R20 1 and 2 Family Residential. Property owner Carla Langford. Mr. Greer.
SEC has submitted to the City of Fairview a rezone request for this property. It does fall within the 2040 comprehensive plan to be rezoned as R40, RS40, or R20 with a PUD. The adjacent properties, as you can see on the map, Castleberry is zoned R20, Aiden Woods is zoned R20, Ashland subdivision is zoned R20. There are a couple surrounding properties that are located within unincorporated Williamson County. Across Crow Cut Road is Bowie Nature Park, and then there is one neighborhood that is zoned in close proximity of RS8, that's Deer Valley Downs. There's a representative tonight to answer any questions. This was forwarded to the Board of Commissioners with a 6-1 positive recommendation from the Planning Commission.
Move for approval.
Second.
Questions from the board?
Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Greer, you said that the Planning Commission brought it forward with a 6-4 and 1 against a positive recommendation. What was the rationale for the 1 vote against it?
They believe that there should not be density added to Crow Cut Road in that area. There's Aiden Woods is significantly a significant project. There's quite a bit of traffic that traverses along Crow Cut Road, and that was the reasoning that they gave.
And there was conversation, I believe, about this property in particular at the Planning Commission meeting about the number of houses that can be placed on it because of the the lines that run through it and no water source.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Aus Ahmed, 850 Middle Tennessee Boulevard. I work with SEC, and I'm here to represent the project. You are correct. The property has a 100-foot of TVA easement that cuts through the property. Also, there are wetlands. Well, actually, there are streams, floodplain, and to do our 20, we're actually not asking for more than the lots that the R40 actually allow for the acreage. So we looked at a couple concepts. We haven't settled that one yet, but the number of lots will not exceed more than what the R40 actually allow. So there are challenges on this property, and we're basically trying to maintain the same density as the current zoning allow and to be consistent with the surrounding.
Thank you. If you're maintaining the same density but rezoning, can you explain why that rezoning would be necessary?
Just because we have the challenging topography and what's on the property currently prevents from making this property developable with the number of lots the R40 allows. That's why we are asking to rezone it to gain the same number of lots with being consistent with the neighboring properties.
How many lots could you put on this property if it remained R40?
I think 21 or 20 to 21 with the 20 acres divided by 40,000 square foot. I think we were looking at 15, 16 for the most is what we can get after we change it to R20.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand. So if it stayed at R40, what is the maximum number you could do given the limitations to the property?
We haven't looked at that yet, but with the current acreage, we could do 20 to 18 lots, but we're trying to basically go with whatever challenges we have on the property and try to push the houses away from the floodplain, push the houses away from the natural resources such as the stream on the property and also away from the TVA easement. So that's why we're trying to make this work with providing the same number of lots.
Thank you. And just two more quick questions, just one more clarifying. How many lots do you think you'd put on it with an R20?
Roughly 15, 16
15 or
plus
16?
or minus, yeah.
Okay. And then do you know, and I know that this is only rezoning, I know that, but is there any possibility with the planning that you would divert any sort of like streams or anything? Are you thinking about the planning for 15 lots, taking into consideration just the way the natural land exists as it is?
We've studied the property. We have, I think there is an HD report has been done. We know the floodplain is there and it covers most of the south side of the property. So it's not possible to put homes in the floodplain nor under the TVA easement. So that's why, yes, we are confident we can't get more than that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Mayor?
Yes.
My question is, if we go for an RS40, which is approximately 18, 19 homes, to an R20 that gives you the option to go up to 38 to 40 homes on that property, depending on how you develop it. So we don't really have an idea right now of how you're going to develop it. My question is the water runoff. Where is that water going to go? Is it going to run into a stream?
So the plan is to go with the natural outfall, which is to the south of the site, to the stream. The city of Fairview has stormwater requirements. With construction plan preparation, the developer will have to comply with those regulations to meet the pre and versus post calculations. Also, we have to comply with a lot of stormwater that the city has put in place to prevent flooding and help basically protect the neighbors from development and then increase in the flow.
Okay, that stream, do you know which way it runs?
So if I'm recalling this, it runs to the west,
So into Aiden Woods?
into Aiden Woods.
Is Aiden Woods properly, are they ready to handle the water runoff that you're going to add to that stream?
Yes, sir. And I actually was the engineer that designed Aiden Woods, and we sized the culvert to handle the 100-year flow. And this study was submitted to FEMA with no rise and taking into account the existing conditions of this property and how much flow is going to the stream. This development will not cause any increase because the city stormwater regulations will enforce this and will make this development comply.
Okay. One more question. As far as an entrance, how are you guys entering the property once it's developed?
I think the plan is to connect the cul-de-sac at Aidenwood subdivision. There is no plan to put an entrance on Crowcut.
So there will be no entrance or exit on Crowcut, just through Aiden Woods.
Correct.
So that's going to put a lot of traffic up to, I'm going to say, maybe 80 cars, 60 to 80 cars running through Aiden Woods to get to that parcel, correct?
Not 80 to 60, I don't know that.
Roughly, I mean, all right, if you,
Roughly 20.
40
Roughly,
additional cars?
we're not adding 20 lots, 15 to 16 lots, so say 15 to 16 cars going on the road. Those roads are, if I'm recalling this, they'll be 24 foot wide. They're built to TDOT standards in the city of Fairview, so I'm confident the subdivision will be able to handle it, taking into account the density is not, it's R20, so it's not a lot of houses when you think about it. I don't foresee a lot of traffic generated from this development, and I don't think it will be major impact on the traffic going into Aiden Woods.
Did you do a traffic study?
We did not.
Commissioner Bufley, this is a rezoning, so they wouldn't be at the
Right,
position
okay,
to
yeah,
have to
I
do
guess
a
you're right.
traffic study.
Thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
No.
Mayor Anderson.
Aye. Item 11B passes 4-1. Item 11C, ordinance 2025-05, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the City of Fairview, Tennessee by rezoning of .56 plus or minus acre parcel located on Horn Tavern Road, northwest of Cabe. I think that's supposed to be Clabe. Yeah, I know the person, so I think it's Clabe. So anyway, I know who he is. Anyway, so Clabe Caldwell Lane, consisting of Williamson County Tax Map 022, parcels 143.01 from RS40, single-family residential, to R20, 1 and 2 family residential, property owner Philip Caldwell. Mr. Greer?
Mr. Caldwell submitted to our department to rezone this parcel from RS40 to R20. Currently, it is a non-conforming parcel in RS40 since the land mass is only 0.56 of an acre. And so this would bring that parcel into conformance with our regulations. Staff recommends approval. The Planning Commission also forwarded this to you with a 7-0 vote recommending approval as well.
Move to approve.
Second.
I just want to say this only makes sense because of the size of the lot. It does not conform to RS40, so the R20 is the suitable zoning for this property. Any questions from the board? Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Aye. Item 11.6 passes 5-0. 11C, sorry. 11D, ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the City of Fairview, Tennessee by rezoning a 28.75 plus or minus acre parcel located on Crowcut Road, consisting of Williamson County Tax Map 018, parcel 031.00 from RS40, single-family residential, to RS15, single-family residential, property owner Northcut Custom Homes, LLC. Mr. Greer.
Mr. Tim Mangrum submitted to the City of Fairview an application to annex this parcel. You have a public hearing at the May 15th Board of Commissioners meeting for the annexation of this. You also have a second and final read for the annexation at the May 15th meeting. Running this one meeting behind as a rezoning request for the exact same parcel, it will come in as RS40. And then Mr. Mangrum has requested that this be rezoned to RS15. This particular parcel in the 2040 comprehensive plan shows it as high-density residential. It lists the applicable zones as RS8, 8,000 square foot lots, RS5, 5,000 square foot lots, RM, multifamily 8 units per acre, multifamily 12 units per acre, and multifamily 20 units per acre. Mr. Mangrum has submitted this request to be RS15, one home per 15,000 square foot lots. As you can see on the map, the surrounding properties, the property directly to the north is MGA 1, which is unincorporated Williamson County, one home per 1 acre. The property to the northwest is RS40. The property to the south is MGA 5, unincorporated Williamson County, one home per 5 acres. Bellhaven sits across the street, the RM8 pod, and 2 properties to the north at the corner of Crowcut. There is a RM20 zoned piece and a commercial general zoned piece. And so there already is some density in this location as far as zoning goes, but in conformance with the 2040 plan, this is actually less dense than what the 2040 plan suggests for this area due to its proximity to Highway 96 and Interstate 40. Staff recommends approval for this rezoning, and the Planning Commission forwarded it to the Board of Commissioners with a 7-0 vote of approval.
Motion to approve.
Second. Mayor? Yes. Thank you. Hi, Mr. Mangrum. How are you tonight?
It is.
Is it? Sorry. Tim Mangrum, 7326 Fernville Road.
Thank you. Hi. Okay, so thank you so much for submitting this, and it looks like you're being pretty upfront to tell us you're going to put RS-15 units on here. Can you just help me with a little bit, if you've got a plan or an idea what that will look like?
We haven't went in and developed a concept plan yet. We actually met with a engineering firm today to start that process. So we don't have a really good idea. We're 45 lots is, until they design it, take all topography and account for detention ponds and so on and so forth. We don't have a real good clue, but
Do you have an idea of what the topography is like? Are there any streams that run through it? Is there
the
any?
topography is actually really well for that piece of property. For Fairview, it's really good.
Thank you for that qualifier. Thank you. I do have one more thing I want to say. This is more of a comment for the board, and for people listening, and for you, Mr. Mangrum, so you know what I'm thinking. I do appreciate that you've come in with an RS-15 instead of the higher density. I know this part of town, and is pretty rural and undeveloped still, and it's surrounded on that side of the road by county property. And when I see us coming in with a higher density into a place that's a very low density surrounding property, I think, well, that's a footprint. And kind of like kudzu, whatever is there will grow and it'll permeate to the surrounding properties. And I would be much happier with an R20 than an RS-15. A lower density as the first step into this. Fairview is growing very fast. We don't have a light at Crowcut in 96. Anybody who goes out that way during rush hour knows it's a game of Frogger, getting out and going left towards the interstate already. I imagine we might need to have more developments built in order to get a stoplight there, that this wouldn't do it, but with 45 to 50 more homes, that's double those, 90 to 100 more cars coming out there. And I imagine since you're here and you're looking at it, we'd probably be seeing some ground broken sooner than later, which means it might get ahead of just what we have. And with Bellhaven coming up, it's a lot of new cars coming out on the road.
we do plan to move fairly quickly. We'd like to submit a concept hopefully in the next 45 days. Of course, I don't think city staff requires a concept, but in the past, I preferred to take that route just to get some feedback from staff, our planning commission if possible. We do think we will have some 20,000 square foot lots on this because the way this piece of property is shaped, it's rectangle. So it's not a square box to where we can make it all just cookie cutter perfect. So we do think we'll end up with a good amount of 20,000 square foot lots. But with the R15, it lets us get them a little more narrow. So some of the lots may be narrow but deeper, but still have that 20,000 feet.
Understanding this is a conversation, not a contract, so we're not locking you into anything that you say up here. If you could describe what you have in mind for what the development would look like. Would you clear cut it? Would you retain trees? What do you think?
That leads to a question. That leads to a conversation that takes quite a while. Because in the past, I have, on purpose, we've left a lot of trees. Take pepper tree as a perfect example. We left a lot of trees over there. But a lot of these old native trees, if you dig near those trees, especially in the summer months, it may not die this year and it might even come back the following year. But that third year, a good percentage of those trees will be dead. Which, if that happens, it's left up to the homeowner to foot the bill to remove those trees. So personally, I think it's better to clear the front half of the lots, plant back new trees. Now, if the trees are fairly small, that's a different story. But I think some of these big native trees, if you disturb them roots, especially in the summer months, you pretty much say goodbye to that tree within 3 years.
Thank you for
So-
sharing that. Yeah.
We'll do our best to keep what we can, especially around the perimeter of that. We even discussed leaving a 20, 30-foot buffer around the perimeter of it, just like it sits today. We did the same thing in Pepper Tree pretty much, left the back half of the lots, the back 25% of the lots undisturbed. Now, some people have since went back there and, cleared some of it out on their own. But that does give it a little more of a Fairview feel to try to leave some trees.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Ms. Jones?
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Nay.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 11D passes 4-1. Item 11E, ordinance 2025-07, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the City of Fairview by approving the major modification of Phase 2 of the Bowie Meadows Planned Overlay Development District with 129 residential units on 99.74 plus or minus acres of property consisting of map 042, part of parcel 026.00, and map 043, map 0423E, Group A, parcel 006.00, applicant Eric McNeely, McNeely Engineering LLC, property owner Lennar Homes of Tennessee LLC. Mr. Greer?
Mr. McNeely submitted to the planning office a major modification for the planned overlay development of Bowie Meadows. The major modification, as you'll see up on the screen, they're looking to remove a point of ingress and egress from Wayne's Lane and pull that point down and add a cul-de-sac in. At the original point of approval of this development, the city center connection was not fully thought through, and they needed a secondary point of access. At this point, Lennar now owns Phase 2 of City Center along with the Bowie Meadows development, and the 2 points of access into City Center will be coming sooner rather than later. And so they will maintain multiple points of ingress and egress to the development. There is also a stream that exists along Wayne's Lane that they would be crossing and potentially disturbing through that process of gaining access on Wayne's Lane. And with the removal of that entrance, there is no disturbance towards that stream. Mr. McNeely is here tonight to answer any questions that you may have. Tonight is the first reading. This will ultimately have a public hearing and a second and final reading for this. Since it is a major modification, it goes through the exact same process as the original planned overlay development. You may notice on the modification side of this screen, there are a few additional stormwater ponds. Those are generally added once you get down to the construction level, where the master development plan is kind of a 30,000-foot view. A development plan that's subsequent to that is kind of a 10,000-foot view. And then once you get down into the construction details, if there's a need to add a pond, that is handled as a staff level minor modification. The major modification that the board will be voting on tonight to send to a public hearing is solely the point of ingress and egress off of Wayne's Lane, and if that is able to be pulled down into a cul-de-sac.
Motion to approve.
Second.
My apologies.
Mayor, from
The Planning Commission did send this to the board with a 7-0 positive recommendation for approval.
I do want to point out that there were many citizens who were concerned about that ingress and egress on Waynes Lane. It wasn't a good idea to do that. So I do appreciate you listening to the citizens and making that change, turning that into green space in a cul-de-sac. I like the fact that the ingress and egress will now be at City Center, where I think it's a more appropriate position for that. Also, the addition of the pond that is planned south, I believe after looking at that, it's really going to work well to protect Bowie Park more efficiently with collecting water there and distributing it slowly instead of it, moving at a faster rate towards the Bowie Park. So I appreciate you listening to the concerns of the citizens and making these changes. Commissioner McDonald. Vice Mayor, McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I think when we hear the words major modification, especially with a development, it usually suggests, has a negative vibe or a negative feel to it. I think in regards to this one that's being requested here, it increases green space. It removes access from a troubled location. I think dumping a new development of this size out onto potentially Waynes Lane as an access point. Anyone who's familiar with Waynes Lane, we talked about this extensively at the Planning Commission level, but I'll just reiterate it. It's an awkward intersection coming out onto Cox Pike there. I think it's best to not bring that into play. And then with the completion of the city center access to downtown Fairview, any of those homes that would have to go to leave the neighborhood are naturally going to use that new connection to get to the city. So I think it potentially could alleviate even traffic count off of Cox Pike unless you were headed towards the 40 interstate. So all in all, I see this as an improvement on all fronts. And then, of course, not that we're considering it in the vote, but the addition of the detention ponds is absolutely welcomed as well. I think there was some concern with the runoff into Bowie Park with the proximity to the park. Adding those can only help. So,
Would you like to come forward and just state your name and address for the record? Thank you.
Eric McNeely. I'm with McNeely Civil Engineering. I live at 254 Belgian Road, Nolensville, Tennessee, and I'm the applicant, and I'm here with Lennar Homes representative Chelsea Russell.
Mayor.
Yes.
Hi, Mr. McNeely. Thank you for being here. This is not something that we're voting on, but since you are the engineer and I did not have the benefit of being on the board when this was approved, I've got a question for you. And if it's outside of the scope, and I don't want to really elongate the meeting, maybe I can talk with you separately. But the way that this development enters out onto Cox Run, it comes out on a hill and it's a straightaway straight up to Cox Pike. When you're looking at the entryway out onto Cox Run, like, have you all taken into consideration any sort of modifications to make sure that we're not like cruising basically like a landing strip straight down into Cox Run and thinking about just how traffic will flow?
We certainly can. I know at the Planning Commission meeting, there was we did talk briefly about that point of connection, mostly centered around ensuring that we mitigate for drainage as much as possible. We can definitely take your concern under consideration. I was not the engineer record on we call that Bowie Meadows Phase 1. But Lennar is developing that piece of the project right now, and I believe the Planning Commission approved that final plat at last month, or at the last Planning Commission meeting. But I'd be happy to meet with you, though.
Thanks. Well, I just kind of wanted to plant that little seed just in case there was ever a revisit to it. It's one of those things that maybe we could get ahead of rather than dealing with it after the fact. But when I look at it and I look straight up Cox Run, I think that's just maybe a problem waiting to happen. But I do appreciate what you said. I agree with the other comments about the entry onto Waynes Lane. If that were a great intersection, it might be different, but it's not. And so I appreciate it. I appreciate the additional water retention. I think that might help alleviate some of the concerns with the surrounding areas that this particular development has raised in the city.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Aye. Item 11E passes 5-0. Item 11,
Sorry. I have a question about about the item we just voted on. My apologies. I know we just voted on it, but quick question for staff. There was the condition that we added at the planning level for the limitation on how many homes could be built before the connection. That's still part of it, correct?
That condition was added to the final plat.
Oh, that's correct. You're right. Thank you.
item 11F, ordinance 2025-08, an ordinance for an amendment to the City of Fairview, Tennessee budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. City Manager, Mr. Tom Darty.
Thank you, Mayor, Board. This budget amendment before you appropriates funds to the four properties we're looking at. The two adjacent to Senior Center Way and Highway 100 to the left, the one between us and First Bank, and also the Hickman County property, plus all other aspects on purchasing those properties. Now, what this does not do is does not give the city the right to purchase the properties. Still have to go through all the legal and contractual processes, but if the board so chooses, then the money is available. The board, so that's, just want to make that point clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Mayor?
Do we need to do a motion first?
Yes.
We'll
We'll take a motion, we'll entertain a motion first, and then we'll have questions.
Motion to approve ordinance 2025-08.
Second.
You can take Wayne. Commissioner Hall. It was a tie. Now, Commissioner Buffalini?
The amount that you're asking for, $3,300,000, how is that broken up?
You've got approximately 2,300 of it to 2178 and 2188 Fairview Boulevard.
I'm sorry, what?
I mean, 2.3 million, sorry.
I was like, woo, that's good.
Yes. And then 700 in it for the property across from, in between us and the bank, and then 250 for the Hickman County property, and then there might be just a little extra if there's any reports, but I believe that's approximately the amount.
Okay, I thought the Hickman was 200.
It is, but we're having doing a phase one and a survey and closing, and there, I just put in a little bit extra money in case there's any, that's the list price.
Okay. Did we get the appraisal back for this property, the English property?
Not yet. It is ordered.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may. Tom, have we had, I know for the larger piece up here off of Fairview Boulevard, have we done anything as far as the due diligence on it? Have we uncovered any issues or any information has been, learned in that process as of yet?
We have not learned anything. We have ordered a phase one, which I saw them out I believe working on that this week. I've also asked, our engineering and planning staff to review the existing surveys, utilities, and setbacks. I've also asked them to check for any title exceptions and just make sure they're up to speed. I am expecting a report to them, back from them in the coming days, and as soon as I have those out, I will forward those to the board. I'll also forward the Phase 1. He said thought he could get the Phase 1 in 2 to 3 weeks, so it's been a week. So I'm expecting in the next week or two.
When is the expiration of the due diligence period?
Yeah, May 15th.
Mayor?
Is that,
Oh, sorry.
my apologies, real quick. That time frame of 2 to 3 weeks that you said with the information that's being gathered, is that put us, will we have that prior to that May 15th date?
Yes, I believe the 2 to 3. Of course, he was out working on it, so I'm expecting a report back within 7 to 10 days.
We already have a title opinion. I think the title opinion is clear. I don't expect the Phase 1 to show anything other than that it's wrong property. If there are dry cleaners or other use like that, that would make me think you're going to have anything in Phase 1. You should have that back. Planning staff will get back in a couple days about any setbacks or other issues that they see, but I don't believe there are any.
And that information, Mr. Doherty, will be shared with us once that information is made available?
Yes, I will get that out as soon as I have it.
Thank you.
Well, we have a board meeting on May 15th, right? So we'll all be here. May 15th. Yep.
Hopefully, I can have that out a few days before that.
Thank you. And may I ask a question too, Mayor? Yes. Thank you. Mr. Doherty, do you have any updates on that Hickman County property?
Only that we're working on getting a legal description, which, we've got to get a survey, and that's been ordered, and getting the Phase 1, and just making sure everything's good. We have worked on the site plan. It does fit. Everything looks like it'll fit well. And I feel like as far as, I believe we're still getting positive feedback from Hickman County. So it's basically just getting the legal stuff together, and we've ordered the survey, and hopefully that'll be coming in sooner rather than later.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Doherty, did you already you met one meeting or two with the planning over in Hickman County?
We just went with one. It was just a initial, just telling them what we were planning on doing, and getting a feedback on their thoughts, and it was very supportive. Our next step with them will be getting a site plan approval from their planning commission, and that'll be in the contract, contingent on Hickman County's site plan approval. And then once we have that, it'll come back to you guys, and then we'll start moving forward.
Thank you.
I've met with several of the commissioners from Hickman County, and I just have to say they're all very excited about this project. So, and why wouldn't they be? So, anything else? Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Aye. Item 11F passes 5-0. Item 11G, discussion, city signage. Commissioner Buffalini.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to discuss at our last work session. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time. Just if we have any plans in the near future to put additional signage outside of City Hall, more so kind of informational signage, rather than using one of them tow-behind traffic yellow boards, if we were able to put something a little bit more permanent, more so like kind of like what Phase 4 has in front of their facility, a sign LED board like that, Phase 3, sorry.
Mayor, may I just real quick? Just a thought on that. I'd thought about the signage too. This came up when we were running for election and we talked about it back in the fall. One thing I'd like to do is wait and see what we have with our new zoning ordinances and what signage looks like, what we agree on for like the look of the city. But I agree with you that that having some increased signage to communicate about meetings and changes and things is very helpful. But I'd like to wait and see what we agree on for the look and feel of it. So I haven't raised it for that reason. Yeah. Yeah.
End of discussion.
No,
No, I don't think so.
If I
that's
may.
just my thoughts.
I've got something to say as well, so.
Okay.
I don't know if
Go ahead.
if this was necessarily the intent of the discussion, but I'm going to take an opportunity. I know that it's in the books to fix the welcome signs into Fairview. I know that was part of another project that we had on that was kind of bundled together with a couple things. Is there any update on that as far as timing or anything in that front?
I have not heard back. I know they have met with, well, this is some other projects, but I have, I've got to reach out to Kimley Horn and get an update. I have not gotten an update within the past week or so. As far as I know, it's still in the design process. I've heard, I need to get updated. I don't have anything to report right now on that.
Yeah, if you don't mind looking into it, I don't know how it all works out logistically, since it is part of a larger group of projects. They're all, I believe, right? It was included in a multiple project.
Yes, we piggybacked on our historical village to look into, since one of the signs is going to be right there at Historical Village. We wanted it to match with the one out on 96 and the one out on the east side of 100. And then also we've got some work that needs to be done in Veterans Park on the dam. And then also there's we're trying to find the best way to cross the creek down at the bottom of Bowie Hollow Road. Now that there's quite a bit more flow in that stream, you know, we're going back and forth between a much higher bridge or just I don't even know what you call them. It's kind of like the bridge or the concrete with the culverts going that you go across. But whatever the safest way to go about it is, I think back in the day they had the Boy Scouts put that original bridge up, and of course it washed away. And in 2025, we need something engineered. We need something that you know helps the city on liability if somebody does, God forbid, get injured in that area. That you know we've done our due diligence. But as of right now, those are the two options we're looking at. And I have not met with Kimley Horn on what their recommendations are. I'm anticipating within the next week or two to have something to report on that.
And I understand some of those projects are going to take longer than others. I think the fact that those signs are just, I don't drive past them a single time and not look at them and just think, I wish those looked different. I don't know if it's possible or if it's, I definitely don't want to rush anything or throw the projects into a tailspin, but I think that if there's any way for them to, I would hate to have to wait until all of those lengthier projects were completed to address that, because I think, you know, as our city is growing, it's becoming more popular, more cars are driving through it. I think it would be, no pun intended, a welcomed sign to see updated welcome signs.
I did stress to Kimley Horn that we want to move forward as quickly as possible with those 3 items. Obviously, it's never fast enough.
Thank you.
I agree with Commissioner Roberts. The zoning ordinance and LED signs, we'll need to see what that's going to say. But also, those LED signs, because I have a small one at my business, and they're very expensive. So I think we need to kind of take a look at that. And, you know, maybe if we want to do something like that, which getting the information out is really important, lump it with, you know, these other sign projects, so that we can, you know, make it one in the whole. Because they're, you know, those LED signs, the ones at the schools are like $30,000-$40,000. So anyway, any other discussion? All right. Item number 12, roundtable, mayor and commissioners. Commissioner Buffalini?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. A couple of things I wanted to bring up was just some speeding that's still consistently going through Cumberland Estates. At our last meeting, we voiced some concerns that were raised about installing speed cushions throughout neighborhoods like Cumberland Estates, with some expressing some worry about the impact on emergency apparatus. However, just since that meeting, I personally witnessed 8 speeders, 3 of them who ran stop signs, which notably is poorly visible behind trees. I believe Mayor Aniston drove through and witnessed that as well. So I just want to say, let's be clear. I understand and respect the concern of the city and for the emergency response vehicles, but our children's safety has got to come first. The speed cushions, they're not a burden on they're not really a burden on the emergency services. They're more of a preventative measure. Preventing injury to a child is far more important than the goal of preserving the trucks right now, honestly. And I've witnessed a child almost get hit by a vehicle in Cumberland Estates. This person lives in Cumberland Estates, and it was addressed. The following day, that same person was speeding through Cumberland Estates yet again. We as a city have to do something about this, and like I said, is $40,000 to $80,000 repairing of an ambulance or something like that? Is it really worth the risk of a child, or even an adult, or an animal, or a dog, or a loved one? I mean, we got to do something about this. It's out of control. Bowie Park has speed bumps through it. I'm asking for speed cushions, something a little bit less than that type of a speed bump. So if it's possible, if we can look at this again and what the implications to the vehicles would be, I really think this is a major concern, not just in Cumberland Estates, but through other developments throughout Fairview. It's got to be helped, and we as a city have to do the right thing, and we have to help it. We have to do something. It's bad. That's one of the things that I wanted to discuss. Some positive things. I wanted to congratulate Fairview students, the Fairview Middle School boys soccer team. They are the Trout County champions after beating Harpeth. Woohoo! Fairview Middle School baseball and softball are both the Area 15 champions, advancing to state sectionals. And our student athletes continue to represent Fairview and pride themselves in excellence, so we got to applaud them for that. 3 seniors at the high school have just enlisted to the Army National Guard: Caleb Say, Wallace Givens, and Timothy Burke. So I want to thank them very much for serving this country, and they're seniors in high school right now, graduating, and they'll be going to the Army National Guard. Also wanted to welcome Kaylee Heggie, a new volleyball coach at the high school. Thank you to Zach Rude. He's coming up as the head coach for middle school girls basketball. And a big thank you to Wayne McGowan, serving over 20 years as the girls' high school basketball coach. He resigned his position. He's retiring from that part, so I want to thank him very much. Going towards recreation and growth, looking at things, the city's growing, and and it's being reflected in the increase of the participation in youth sports. And I just want to say that if anyone's been seeing a lot of dirt being moved over at the baseball fields, that is part of the Lions Club and the baseball organization over there that has been bringing in all of that dirt, free of charge, by the way, to add additional parking. Because with the growth, there's certain things that the city has to consider going forward. The public communication, I was hoping that if we can get more paving projects and roadwork notices to be communicated to the public a little bit earlier and give them more time, I think that would be great. I mean, Richard Ross, you're doing a tremendous job. I just think the communication has to be a little bit better throughout our staff. I think we're doing all great with Nixle and all that. If we could just put out something maybe with maps on it, that would be great, even if it's posted on social media. I did also have a meeting with Ethan Greer, our city planner, and asked him to provide us an overlapping aerial map showing all the approved developments. So I'm hoping that in the near future we'll be able to see that, just to give everyone a better idea of what we're going to look like, what Fairview's going to look like in the next couple of years or several years. Also, applications are open for the Planning Board, Board of Zoning Appeals, Parks and Landscape Committee, Fairview Social Podcast, and the Fairview Live. They're continuing to promote local businesses and shine the light on our community. I can't say enough about them, so thank you very much, and for helping Patty Carroll. And also next week, Small Business Week, so I encourage everyone. I think something that would be pretty cool is if everyone could take some pictures when they're in front of a small business and send them to Richard Ross. No, if you could just post them on Facebook, I think that would be great for maybe like a year-end montage or something like that. If we could do something, that would be tremendous. Also, we had asked for the relocation of some of the real estate signage, and they have done that, specifically over by 100 and Cumberland Estates and Cumberland Road. Cumberland Drive. So I just want to thank you, because it's been easier to get in and out of that area, not having to try and look over all these other signs. And I did have a question, but I can ask that at a later time. What was the plan with the Loblolly school trailers that are out there? I didn't know anything about that, and driving past it, it's fun to look at. So let's just, we're growing, we're achieving, and we're doing everything together as Fairview. So let's just make our decisions reflect the safety, character, and the heart of our community, and keep Fairview positive. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Roberts?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, thank you to everybody who's listening at home and who's here in the City Hall with us this evening. I just want to give another shout out to the Shop with a Cop program. Fairview Nutrition is going to be doing a promotion for them, and there are multiple ways to help support that program. So please look for ways to help with that amazing program. And again, think about shopping local coming up. Mr. Ross, what's the date on that again? The 4th through the 10th, we're focusing on shopping local, and we've got some great local businesses, and not just brick and mortar, but also great services here in Fairview. I want to thank Ethan and Devin also. In addition to them, also Maria and Marissa. I was in the planning office earlier this week asking lots of questions. I had some really great messages from some of the folks around town. There was a sign that was put up that was blocking view. I saw that it was down today, so thank you for helping keep that intersection safe. Thank you also for addressing the concerns. Someone reached out to me about some things over on the east side of town on 100. And I'd like to think about, the focal point of over there, people coming into town, but that's for another meeting. I'm not going to go on for much longer, but I just wanted to mention that you all were very responsive and reached out, and I appreciate everything you did. I completely agree with Mr. Charles Miller. He hit the nail on the head. You guys are doing great work. And then just one little shout out, the Fairview High School Theater Department has received several nominations for the Spotlight Awards. The award ceremony is happening on Saturday, May 17th at TPAC, which is so exciting. So all the students get to go to TPAC and get their awards, and we'll be there cheering for our students and all the other students in Williamson County who have been nominated.
Commissioner Hall?
Thank you, Mayor and Board. First off, I'd just like to say sorry that I missed the meeting the last meeting, but unfortunately it was a bad situation that I had to be at. Anyway, I want to thank all the representatives for the staff. They do such a fine job for us. Thank the officers that's always here to take care of us here at the meeting. One thing I was reading in the minutes where I think Commissioner Buffalini addressed an issue that I was interested in getting done was some money being set aside in the budget for the replanting of the dead trees up at the Cloverleaf, and thank you for that. Yes, sir. And also, I'm proud to see the Hickman County land process is moving forward. That's a huge thought in my process of thinking that gets done will be a nice situation for our officers to have training. One thing I'd like to ask, is Hickman County going to be allowed to use this facility, Mr. Doherty?
I believe there's a discussion of an MOU with Hickman County Sheriff's Department.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's all I have tonight, and here again, thanks everyone, and Ethan, you and Devin do a good job helping Mr. Miller out. I know that area very well, because I had some issues with that several years ago in that same subdivision, so anyway, thanks for all you do. Thanks, everyone.
Vice Mayor McDonald?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess first, I just wanted to address, I understand the concern with the speed cushions that Commissioner Buffalini mentioned. I do think if that's something that we want to consider, we should probably consider putting it as an agenda item to call upon a traffic engineer to look into that, so we have less liability from the city is just making that decision. I'm not against it. I just think it would be best to have a traffic engineer tell us how to go about properly alleviating that situation or addressing that situation. The Loblolly School was mentioned. My understanding is the zoning is industrial, which seems odd for it to be a preschool, but unfortunately, with industrial zoning comes very few restrictions as to what can be done on that property. So there was no approvals required from this board or any board within the city. Just before anyone thinks that was something that we approved and thought was a good idea, and not throwing shade on anybody related to that or involved with that business. It was within their right to do what they did. So. I do have a question. Is there just a brief update on the zoning ordinance, the new zoning ordinance, just timelines, anything changed, what's next?
Currently, it is, the public draft is being drafted. They're still making updates. I don't have expected time at this time.
Okay. Do we expect to have a clearer idea by our next meeting?
Yes, I can get a full-fledged timeline by May 15th.
Perfect, thank you. Briefly talked offline with Mr. Greer. I don't know if some have noticed the maps, and then Commissioner Buffalini brought up the idea of a map to show what's there. There is a map that exists on the city website currently that shows zoning changes, so it's interactive. I believe it's currently down, and Mr. Greer, if you would like to address, I don't know if that's something you want to publicly address now or speak to. It's being worked on to get those back up and running. But once that is running, when it typically is, it's an interactive map. You can click on any parcel within the city and it shows you the zoning. There might be some lag time as rezonings take place, but it does get updated relatively regularly, I believe. Do you want to address anything around reasons why it's down, or would you rather not right now?
I can address it. The increase in cost went up by about $5,000 between last year's costs to operate the map and this year's cost. During our time that we've been evaluating, trying to get that cost back down to a more reasonable amount for this year, our contract, year-long contract lapsed. The maps were turned off to the public on Monday, and so we are still working, trying to get the costs down so that we're not paying a $5,000 increase over a 12-month period.
What was the prior cost?
$7,000, a little over $7,000.
So it's a 40-ish% increase, roughly, 35, something like that.
Correct. Significant for 1 year.
Sure,
For
yeah.
an online service.
Do you feel like we're making any progress in regards to that?
Yes,
Okay.
we've been able to eliminate a couple of the bluff items that they put into our new proposal.
Thank you for that update. Another thing, I noticed the median on Fairview Boulevard heading out of town towards Bellevue. I don't know, I believe we contract that mowing out, Mr. Doherty, is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there any way that we could get a quote from them to what it would cost to increase the frequency in which that grass is mowed? This last time it seemed to get quite lengthy before it was addressed, and with the summer coming, and I don't know what the cost would be, but it being something that a significant portion of the community drives past, it might be something that we could consider if the cost was not too much.
Yes, we've spoken with the vendor, and he is going to try to get to it more frequently. He just said that the weather had pushed him behind, and so he has. We told him it is okay to cut on the weekends or whatever works in his schedule, but we needed to cut more frequently. We hope that it is cut more frequently.
I appreciate you taking notice of it as well and having that conversation. Thank you for that. And then just last, I think Commissioner Buffalini might have also mentioned this too, but just a thank you to Representative Lee Reeves, who was out in our community today, just highlighting some of the small businesses that we have in town, giving them some free PR, which is always nice, and it was polite of him to include us in that as well. So thank you to him. That is all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. So, let's see. May 29th is our town hall this month. This is a month with 5 Thursdays. So our town hall meeting will be May 29th from 7 to 9 p.m. A nice laid-back way for our community to come and have dialogue. During our meetings, we don't do dialogue the way the meetings are set up. So if you'd like to come and dialogue with your commissioners and mayor, show up at 7 p.m. between 7 and 9 on May 29th. And I just want to also thank Ethan and Devin. That was above and beyond, but you know what? That's what our staff does. We witness it every week. Richard, Rachel, Tom, Patrick, Bree, all of our staff. That's what y'all do. You go above and beyond, and to stop and help someone with an issue like that, it's really appreciated. And Devin, if you're watching, you too, buddy. So, thank you. There's several of us who own small businesses, and we have a lot of great ones in Fairview, a lot of great restaurants and coffee shops and shipping stores and little eclectic shops to buy antiques and just a lot of, nutrition drinks and just a lot of neat mom and pop shops that really need our support, because without the community support, they don't survive. So as a small business owner, I appreciate everyone who does business with me and helps my door stay open. And I know that all the other small businesses feel that way as well. So you know, let's just, not just this next week, you know, let's do it all the time. Think about before you leave your community, what you can purchase or do business or eat. You know, we've got a lot of great restaurants here. And just think about that before you leave your own community and, you know, do business somewhere else. Remember the Arts and Craft Fair on May 10th. I've, you know, been out there, you know, every time they've had it, and it's such a neat opportunity for us to see, you know, people come from all over and the wonderful things that they make with their hands. I'm a wood person, so I love to see all the different wood and pottery that's out there for sale. So just make sure to come to the Arts and Craft Fair. It's a good time. I do want to say, you know, along with the speeding, you know, with spring and summer, we've got a lot of kids out there and families out there playing because it's, you know, it's nice time. The weather's better, and, you know, we all need to slow down. But there's another situation I'd like to bring up. With summer, we have landscapers out there with trucks and trailers. And, you know, I know it's hard, but we've got to figure out a way to park these trucks and trailers not on a main road. They like to park on Chester, and when you park on Chester and you come around a curve, and it's like the Dukes of Hazzard. You know, I felt like one time, and I do not speed, and I felt like one time coming around that curve, and boom, there's a trailer, a landscape trailer with a truck, and I felt like I'm just going to launch on top of that thing and land right on the back. So it's hard to see in some of these blind spots. And if you have, you know, the one I'm talking about, the person who hired him, their whole driveway was full. So there's nowhere for him to park. And I feel for the, you know, the landscape guy that has to find a way to, you know, park his truck, you know, his trailer and his truck, but that's so dangerous. And, you know, our officers, y'all always get a call from me because I'm so afraid that there's going to be a wreck. And they don't put cones out, they don't put triangles out, and you just come up on them, and it's so scary. So if you're hiring these people, please give them room to park. And if you're a landscaper, just please be aware that it's just not safe. You know, just to park in blind spots and on a road without any, you know, signaling for people to not come around a corner and hit you. So just putting it out there. And I just, you know, I want to thank the board, and I think that's everything for me. Oh, one other thing. So I talked to Ethan about those trailers. It's been a while back. It's probably been, 2-3 months ago. And we had a talk with, and we're talking about the ones on 96 in front of the Loblolly School. So we had a talk with Chief Hughes, and basically, you know, it was a good idea maybe for them to put them in the back. But when he explained, and I wish there was an alternative, but he said for fire and safety that they absolutely had to be out front. There's children in those buildings. The back was not easily accessible. So even though, you know, I don't like it, there's been complaints about it. That's just, you know, it's industrial. Didn't come before this board for any vote. We didn't approve that, but we didn't have to. They can do it without, you know, our approval. But they did seek an alternative. It just didn't work out that way. So I just kind of wanted to add that to it.
I will note that there is landscaping that will be installed around the buildings as a buffer landscape.
Cool. Thank you. All right. So thank you for everyone being here. Thank you for everyone at home, all of our staff. You do a great job, and we couldn't, you know, the city wouldn't run without you. So I entertain a motion to adjourn.